Hello everyone and welcome back to Lecture Tuesday. Today's session is a little different from our usual topics. Instead of diving into technical content, we are focusing on something just as important: how to effectively present that content. The title of today's lecture is The Art of Presenting, and we'll explore what makes a presentation engaging, clear, and memorable. Whether you're explaining research, pitching an idea, or simply sharing knowledge, a good presentation skills can make all the difference. So let's get started. I want to start with this quote because it captures something fundamental about knowledge and communication. The idea is simple. If we truly understand something, we should be able to explain it in a way that even a 6-year-old could grasp. So now, while the author of this quote is technically unknown, some people argue that it was Albert Einstein who said it. So if you ever want to sound a little smarter in conversation, just attribute it to Einstein. It works every time. Before we get into the main content, I want to highlight a few hidden ingredients, elements that shape how a presentation is received, even if we don't always consciously notice them. These include layout, color choices, white space, font and text size, as well as techniques like pausing and questioning. Throughout this presentation, I've carefully considered each of these elements, and I encourage you to pay attention to how they influence the way information is delivered and understood. So by the end, you might find yourself looking at presentations a little differently. So before we even start designing a presentation, the first and most crucial step is understanding our audience. So why is this important? Just think about it. Who are you speaking to? Are they experts in your field, or is this their first exposure to the topic? Their level of interest will shape how you present your content. The next question you should ask yourself is, how interested are they with your topic? So sometimes you might be presenting to an audience which is forced to be there, for example giving lectures at university, and you might want to focus more on inspiring and motivating them instead of just giving lectures that will vanish as soon as the bell rings. The next question you should ask yourself is, how familiar are they with your topic? So for instance, if your audience already has a strong background in the subject, you can dive straight into advanced details. But if they are new to the topic, you need to build a solid foundation first. Another key question is, how much detail should you include? So too much and you risk overwhelming them. Too little and they might lose interest. It's really a balance between. And finally, what do you want them to remember? So every great presentation has a key takeaway, something that sticks with the audience long after they leave. So keep that in mind as you structure your talk. Now that we understand our audience, let's talk about structure. A well-structured presentation keeps your audience engaged and ensures your message is clear. So every strong presentation follows a simple format: introduction, main content, and conclusion. In the introduction, you need a hook, something that grabs attention. This could be a question, a surprising fact, or a short story. Then provide context to set the stage and clearly state your objective so the audience knows what to expect. The main content should be divided into clear sections with a logical flow. Avoid jumping between ideas, instead structure your points so that each one naturally leads to the next. And finally, the conclusion should reinforce your key takeaways. This is your chance to summarize the most important points and leave a lasting impression. One way to guide your audience through your presentation is by using smooth transitions. Instead of just jumping from one topic to another, use signposts, like first I'll cover, next I'll discuss, finally I'll conclude, and other ones. So one of the most important aspects of great presentation is keeping the audience engaged. And two of the most effective ways to do that are storytelling and interaction. So for example, when I was a student, I used to watch a lot of TED Talks. And what made them so compelling wasn't just the content. It was how the speakers told stories, used real-world examples, and made their ideas feel relevant and memorable. But engaging isn't just about speaking at an audience, it's also about making them part of the conversation. That's why asking questions, encouraging discussions, and even using live examples can transform a presentation from something passive to something dynamic. Think about best presentations you have attended. What made them stand out? Chances are they weren't just a list of facts, they had a story, a structure, and moments that made you feel involved. So a great presentation isn't just about words, it's also about visuals. The right visuals can make complex ideas clearer and keep your audience engaged, but they need to be used wisely. Graphs and charts are powerful tools, but they should always be simple and easy to read. Avoid too many labels, lines or colors which can make your data confusing rather than helpful. Stick to the key message you want your audience to take away. When using images, always go for high quality. Blurry or pixelated images look unprofessional and can be distracting. Also, make sure your images are relevant to your content. They should support your message, not just fill space. Animations can be engaging, but they need to be purposeful. Ask yourself, does this animation help prove my point? If it's just there for decoration or feels distracting, it's better to leave it out. Colors aren't just about aesthetics. They play a crucial role in readability and audience engagement. But how do we use them effectively? First, let's talk about color contrast. For text to be easily readable, there needs to be a strong contrast between the text and the background. A good rule of thumb is a contrast ratio of at least 4.5 to 1, which ensures accessibility for most viewers, including those with visual impairments. If you are unsure about your color choices, tools like the WebAIM Contrast Checker can help you determine if your text and background contrast is well enough for readability. But why do colors really matter? You can use colors for signaling. Colors can draw attention to key points. If you want your audience to focus on something, use a standout color strategically. You can also use colors for grouping. Consistent color schemes help organize information. For example, using the same color for related topics makes it easier for your audience to follow your structure. Instead of bolding everything, use colors to emphasize key takeaways without overwhelming the slide. By using colors intentionally, you can make your presentation both more readable and more engaging. A good approach is to stick to three main colors. Primary color for the background, which sets the overall tone of the presentation, secondary color for headlines and highlights, which helps key points stand out, and body text color, which should always be highly readable against the background. Using simple fonts also isn't just about aesthetics. It actually helps with readability, especially for people with visual impairments or dyslexia. Some good font choices include Aptos, Calibri, or Arial. These fonts are clean, professional, and easy to read at distance. Finally, font size also matters. Your title should be between 34 and 60 points, big enough to grab attention, and body text should be between 24 and 30 points, small enough to fit the content, but large enough to read comfortably from the back of the room. Let's go over some key do's and don'ts for effective presentations. Avoid overcrowding slides with text. If people are reading, they are not listening. Minimize jargon to keep your message clear. Also, don't just read from the slides. And never rush. Let your points land. The things you should do for your presentations are: number the slides to keep everyone on track. Pausing gives the audience time to absorb information, so use them wisely. And most importantly, rehearse, because a well-prepared speaker is always more engaging. In short, good presentations aren't just about content, they're also about delivery. To wrap things up, here are the key takeaways. First, always know your audience and tailor your content accordingly. Use visuals, colors, and fonts effectively to enhance but not distract from your message. Keep your audience engaged through storytelling and questioning, making the presentation interactive. Simplicity is key. Slides should be clear, structured, and easy to follow. Small details like numbering the slides and maintaining consistency can make a big difference. And finally, the best way to improve is through practice, because confidence comes with preparation. One of the resources that really helped me refine my presentational skills is a book called Talk Like TED. If you're looking for practical insights on making your presentations more compelling, I highly recommend it. At the start of this presentation, I shared a quote with an unknown author, although some might argue it was Einstein. But this time, I can guarantee exactly who said this one, because it was me. Your slides should support what you're saying, not replace it. And this is something I follow in every presentation, and I hope it's a principle you'll find useful too. So thank you for listening, and I'll see you next week.